Hi, and welcome along to another Shearer Smokes, and you join me today here in the heart of Tillicoultry Glen. Tillicoultry is 3 miles from my hometown of Dollar. Tillicoultry is where I stay now, and believe it or not, this spot is only 15 minutes walk from my flat, so we're really fortunate to have this right on the doorstep. It became a firm favourite of mine for outdoor smoking, especially during the COVID restrictions, as of course we weren't allowed to travel out with our county borders unless for work. So this became a great place to come, just to get away from the stresses of work and life in general, I suppose, and enjoy a bit of quiet smoke time. The cigar I have today is the Cohiba Medio Siglo, Petite Robusto. Great size cigar, especially for what I have planned today. So it has that Robusto ring gauge of 52, but comes in at just 4 inches, so although maybe not a quick smoke, you're looking at about 40-45 minutes smoke time, which is perfect for what I've planned today, which is to stop here, have a bit of lunch, and then head off further up into the glen and give you a taste of what the scenery is like up there. I do have my pipe packed with me, so I'll be planning another stop further up into the hills. Now the reason I went for the Cohiba, as this is a bit of a treat for me, is to really enjoy a bit of a celebration today. And that celebration is pertaining to me surpassing my 50 subscribers, which, although it might be a bit of a mini milestone, to me it is completely massive. When I first started this back in the beginning of April, thanks to the encouragement of Smoky Dan, I didn't really envisage having so many subscribers so early on, and for that I'm truly appreciative. After railroading friends and family, to gain another 40 odd subscribers is quite amazing, and yeah, it's very much appreciated, as I said. I do need to give one big vote of thanks, and that's to Gav. Gav hails from the Windy City of Chicago. Gav has his own pipe channel, Old and in the Way, which is really good. Just catching up on his videos now. But Gav has been with me right from the start, really. He was the very first subscriber that I didn't know personally, and he always tunes in, he always leaves some really good comments, and for that I would like to say a great big thank you to you, Gav, and to you, Gav, best wishes and good health. Oh, that's nice. That is nice. In the hip flask, I've got a Tomatin 14-year-old, aged in port casks, and that is pairing really nicely with the Cohiba. The whiskey itself, I'm not very up on whiskies, but that one has a nice fruity texture to it. There's a bit of sweetness obviously coming from the port casks, which is something that I really enjoy. The Cohiba, of course, it has that Cuban earthiness, a very robust flavour, a slight nuttiness, but also a wee hint of sweetness, which is marrying really nicely with the whiskey. So yeah, this has been a very good pairing. So, as I say, I'm going to sit here for a little while, enjoy a bit of lunch, and then I'm going to head up further into the hills and give you a little glimpse of what the scenery holds for us up there. Yeah, so please stay tuned, and I will see you further up the glen.
Oh man, give me endless time, never let these ties sever. Just breaking bottles in the yard, never steal my mind again. Like old ties and companions, just sitting on the fence. The tunes we've carried through the years will change, and man, that's just enough to keep these ghosts around those haunted few. But old ties and companions, you and I were just passing through.
Well, I finally made it up into the heart of the Ochil Hills. So behind me is the Forth Valley, part of Central Region, and just beyond the hill is Stirling. I shall try and get a shot on the way down, just to give you an idea of the location. So yeah, the Ochil Hills. They stretch for about 25 miles from the Firth of Tay to Stirling. There's about 74 or 76, I think, hills in the range itself. The highest of those being Ben Clwch. Just consult my journal, got a few just for some interesting facts. So yeah, so Ben Clwch being the highest, it stands at a height of 721 metres, which is just over 2,300 feet. The Ochil Hills themselves are obviously volcanic in origin. There is a term for the age. I think it's pronounced Devonian, which comes from rocks that were found in the area of Devon. I hope I pronounced that right. Either way, these rocks date back obviously several million years. If you go onto the internet and type in the Ochil Hills, you'll get loads of information on the geology of the hills, which is quite interesting if you like geology, and it'll give you a good breakdown of the actual type of rocks that are here and how they were formed and how the gorges were formed. And yeah, it's quite an interesting read. Again, I came a little bit off the beaten path, so it's pretty quiet here. I've only seen one or two hill walkers. I was here earlier on in the year, and there was patches of snow still, so I'll put in a little picture of that just to give you an idea of the change in the seasons. And although we're not that high up, the weather, as you can imagine, can change quite quickly. There's patches of blue skies just behind me, but on the far side it's a little bit overcast. The wind has died down, so it's still quite pleasant to be sitting out enjoying the pipe. As for the pipe itself, I've brought along my trusty cob. So this was the very first pipe I bought on advice from Smoky Dan, who suggested trying the cob just to see if piping was going to be my thing, and as it turned out, it seems to be. So yeah, so I still return to it, mainly for my aromatics. And interestingly enough, when I was planning the trip today, I planned it yesterday while I was at work, and believe me, it got me through a very arduous 24-hour shift. And in the planning, I thought I knew what cigar I was going to be having mid-morning, and I thought, right, I'm going to have a bit of lunch. Quite fancy some chocolate after that. So I was going to have the American double chocolate blend, but at the very last minute, I plumped for the Bothy Flake. As you may remember, I did a little review, or the first taste of the Bothy Flake at the Tap of Broch in Torwood. So this is the second outing for the Bothy Flake, and yeah, it's going down very nice. I'm still getting my chocolate though, because I have some hot chocolate in the flask. Which is nice. So yeah. Just out of interest, this is the tamper that I'm using. This is actually a shell casing from an American sniper rifle. My brother-in-law brought it back from Camp Bastion out in Afghanistan. He was stationed there with the Rumi part-time. He was out there for a year, to help keep the armoured vehicles on the road, and a lot of the guys were making these as souvenirs to take home. So it's actually a perfect size and a perfect weight for tamping. So that's worked out fine. So yeah, so this has been my day out today. I'm glad you've tagged along with me. As for tonight, it's going to be another smoky affair. My good friend Carnegie, he's also celebrating 50 plus, not in subscriptions but in years. It's his birthday yesterday. We actually share the same birthday, but he is a month before me, and as I like to remind him every year, he'll always be a month older, thus hitting the milestones a month before me. So no doubt we're going to have a nice cigar tonight and a couple of drams. So looking forward to that, especially as he hasn't been able to come over to the Sheer Cigar Lounge in quite some time due to the COVID restrictions, obviously. So yeah, so it's going to be a nice night. So looking forward to that. So I'm going to head on down. Probably going to head down this way, I think, and I'll get some shots of the scenery. I was up here earlier on in the year. There were still some pockets of snow about, so I'll pop a picture of that in just to give you an idea of the changing seasons. As you can imagine, even though we're not that high up, the weather can change quite dramatically and quickly. There is some pockets of blue sky behind me, but on the far side there's some dark clouds rolling in. The wind's died down, but it's still quite mild, so yeah, it's quite pleasant to sit out in. And again, as I mentioned earlier, you've got that sound of the burn coming down through the glen, which is really nice. So yeah, it's a great spot, and as I said, amazing that it's on my doorstep and just a short walk away to get into the glen, and then a relatively easy hike to get to this spot. Another interesting fact before I go, you may remember the video I did at the Spitfire Memorial with the squadron leader tobacco. So in these hills, it's not well publicised, but there is a cairn that has been erected to the memory of one of those Spitfire pilots who sadly lost his life during a low-level training mission, and a bank of cloud came in, and sadly the Spitfire crashed into these very hills. So I've never seen it personally. I've seen pictures, so I might make it my mission one day to go in search of that, and hopefully get some footage for you to share. But until then, I'm just going to sit here, enjoy what's left in the bowl, and then take a slow wander back down home. So again, thank you very much for joining me, and thanks again for all your support. As I said, it really is much appreciated. So enjoy the rest of the week, And until the next episode from Shearer Smokes, my name's Shearer. Enjoy your smokes.